Welcome to Speak Out with Larry Spicer on 1600 WULM, your opportunity to call in and speak out on the topics of the day. Speak Out with Larry Spicer is brought to you by the Center City Association. It's your downtown live, work, play. Spradlin Brothers Welding, the area's full-service fabrication shop. The Yost Superior Company, an integral part of Springfield since 1902. Foreman Blair, Pontiac, Buick, GMC Truck, and now Cadillac at 242 East Columbia Street downtown. Cap Construction, building for the future. And Reliable Home Improvements of Ohio. Call 324-6300. Call in and speak out 399-9000 or toll free 866-405-1478. And now here's Larry Spicer.
Good morning and welcome to our March the 11th, 2006 edition of Speak Out with Larry Spicer. I am Larry Spicer, and in studio with me this morning is the recorder for Clark County, Nancy Pence. Nancy, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good to have you here. We're going to talk about the recorder's office the first hour, and then the second hour we will be visiting with State Representative Ross McGregor, talking about some of the things that are happening in Columbus and those things that are going to be affecting our area as well. So an interesting show planned for you again this morning on Speak Out, and if you feel so inclined to join us, you may do so by dialing 399-9000. That's 399-9000. Or toll-free 866-405-1478, 866-405-1478. Jot those numbers down. They're not likely to change before the end of the show, and we'd love to hear from you this morning. Anything you'd like to ask Nancy Pence, I'm sure she's prepared to answer. And then, of course, Ross McGregor will be joining us the second hour, and he'll be willing to take your questions as well. Nancy, let's begin by talking about Nancy Pence. It's a name that has been around for a while. And let's talk about your history in terms of your schooling and then how you got involved in politics, even though I'm sure you don't really consider it politics as such. But anyway, give us a little background about Nancy Pence.
Well, my background is probably, a little different than most of the people that are elected. I graduated from high school at age 16, and I did not come from a wealthy family, so there was not the extra money for college. Mm-hmm. So I had to go out into the workforce, and I started working at a grain elevator, and I stayed there 22 years.
Wow. How'd you graduate at 16?
Well, I guess from the time I could talk, I wanted to go to school, and so they just kind of pushed me into it.
So you're pretty smart then.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to be careful of the questions I ask.
You're right. But the student loans and the other resources just weren't there at that time, mm-hmm. So I just had to go to work.
Now, what school, may I ask, did you graduate from back then?
Christiansburg-Jackson, which is now
Sure.
Graham District in
Heard of that.
Champaign
Yep,
County.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you're one of their famous alumni, I guess, right?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. But the grain elevator, what were you doing there? Just office-type work and so forth?
Yes, bookkeeping,
Okay.
office
So
job.
you got some experience there that
Mm-hmm.
probably was helpful in your
Exactly.
role as the recorder. So when did you first run for recorder, and why did you do that? Did you decide that you thought you might like it? Or
Well, backing up, I got a little more experience in the political arena.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clerk of Pike Township, and I started that 22 years ago. And so that kind of gave me the up on that. In 1988, I guess that was when the Pauline Bertram retired, and Dave Hobson actually came out, and he knew of me through some friends, and said the seat was going to be open, and asked me if I would be interested in running, and I stepped forward, and that's how I got
that was in 1988, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So you've been there ever since,
Yes.
and typically you don't really have opposition, do you?
Well, I've been lucky the last 2 terms, but yes, I did the first 3 terms.
Did you?
I'm in my
Okay.
5th term.
So you're in your 5th term, and I guess probably things have changed a little bit at the recorder's office since you first arrived.
Yes, I would say a lot.
All right, let's talk about, now you did not actually work in the recorder's office prior to being elected recorder, correct?
No, I did not.
So you didn't have that benefit of gaining experience on the job as such. I suppose there was a period of time that it took you to get used to what was required and what you had to do and all that sort of thing.
Well, it's like any job, learning on the job is part of it. And I've always been there. I try to be there every day. And I like to know what's going on. So if you're at work, you'll know what's going on,
Sure.
and that's how you learn.
So what, when you first got there, what was the first thing you did? I know I've been down there a few times on business, and the one thing that I remember specifically about the recorder's office is that, well, it's a couple things. Number one, it's friendly. People there are very much interested in helping, which I think is good. And then the other thing is that it's very homey because there's a lot of knickknacks and things like that around that make it look like a very friendly place as opposed to a traditional office.
Patriotic office.
Now, is that something you've added as far as your personal touch?
Oh yes, the tax dollars did not pay for that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
guess
it's
we
all
probably should say
patriotic.
that.
Yes, right.
All right, so when you got there in '88 and you became the recorder, give us a little background about what was going on back then. I mean, how were things different than they are today? I suppose one big thing was they probably didn't have the computerization that you have now.
Well, they did have computerization. They had an in-house system, which was poorly written, and they had just started that in 1988, which really wasn't fair that someone who was retiring would, install a system and not be there to see it
Right.
operate. So I was kind of stuck with that system for a long time, and we had one computer that we could index. I mean, it was
Just one?
just one.
Wow.
It was awful. And so then I knew there was a computer system that I wanted, and it's the one that I now have. But as I would go to the, for my budget hearings or what, I would ask, and they would say, well, there wasn't the money available at that time. So in 1993, we had a fee increase, and it was the first time in 10 years in the office. And with that came the part that we could have a set-aside fund, which means that it pays for equipment in my office. And I went back to the commissioners and asked if I could have it, and they agreed. And so you can have, like, each document that's recorded, I can have up to $4 of that in a set-aside fund. So it really helps my budget because I don't have to go for copiers or any kind of equipment in the office. It's just something.
So you're basically, as an elected official, the recorder of Clark County, in charge of your own budget in terms of trying to predict, obviously, accurately what kind of monies you need and where they're going to come from.
Yeah, that's fun. But they're really good. The commissioners are wonderful. And Daryl, they've always worked with me, and I really don't ask for anything out of range.
But your office, for the most part, is somewhat self-supporting, right? I mean, because
It's
of
one of the
fees.
few.
Yeah.
It's one of the few offices that is self-supporting.
What kind of stats can you tell us when you first started back in '88? Has the volume changed since '88?
Oh.
I'm assuming that today we're a little busier than we were back in '88.
Well, yes, much busier. But the biggest years we had would have been in 2001, 2, and 3. And that's when the interest rate was so low and everybody was buying or refinancing. And some people would refinance 3 and 4 times, and you can't blame them for that to save money in years of their mortgage. But we've noticed a drop in 04 and 05. I guess the rates I know they're going back up, but I'm not sure where they are at this point. But, like in, I'll just pick 2003, we recorded 7,217 deeds and 33,971 mortgages. And today, well, I'll just do the end of 04, we recorded 6,888 deeds and 23,137 mortgages. So it was like 10,000 down on the mortgages in 1 year.
Now, let's talk about the office is still located the same place it was in '88, correct?
I think it's been there forever. A.B. Graham Building,
And you're on what floor? The second?
top floor.
Top floor,
Well,
third,
the elevator says we're on the
whatever.
second. We're on the top floor. Just keep going.
The top floor. You can't go any
Right.
further, in other words.
Right.
And do you occupy the entire floor?
Oh, no,
No,
just
just part
the
of
one
it?
corner, just
Okay.
one end of it.
And the staff that you had in '88, for example, has that staff increased as we get into 2006?
As a matter of fact, no.
No?
My staff is down to 5, and I had 10 when I was first
So
elected.
it's half as much as you
Yes,
had before
and-
with a lot more volume.
Right, and
Wow.
I attribute that to cross-training and
Mm-hmm.
working with my staff and modern technology, and they're great. I have, gals that have been there for years.
Well, let's talk about your staff, and if you want to mention names, that's fine with me. Like I said, I've been there a few times, and they seem to be very friendly and focused and know what they're doing. And it's obvious that they are cross-trained because they don't say you have to wait on her or whatever. But what
Exactly.
kind of a staff do you actually have?
They're all deputy recorders, which means, what if I'm not there, they just carry on, and they all work together, and they know each other's jobs, like the cross-training I just said. And so that I think that's a real important, that, you're just not assigned to something that you just do all day long. I think that would be boring.
Now, do you have 5 of them? Do they have separate responsibilities that they're assigned as part of an efficient operation in the recorder's office? I know they're all cross-trained, but I would assume each one has their own little niche or whatever.
They take turns, like they'll go to the post office and pick up the mail, and they put the mail on that day, and they all work the counter, answer the phone, and then they have certain days that they scan. You know, they have different jobs that they do
Sure.
each day, which keeps them more
So the
interested.
variety is the spice of life, as
Oh,
they
I
say, and
think
probably keeps them from getting
they
bored.
like that. They
Sure,
like
I
it.
would think they would as well. Let's talk about the procedure. If somebody has a deed that needs to be filed or whatever, let's talk about the process that is involved in that. It not only involves your office, but it also involves the auditor's office.
Yeah, we request that the deeds go to the auditor's office for transfer before they have to be transferred before they can be recorded. So it's, it only makes sense that they would make that their first stop. It's something that we tried to change for a long time because I don't have the time nor staff to run to the auditor's office and get the deeds transferred. Mainly when people do a closing, you pay that fee for
Right.
the recording, the transfer, and all that. So I would think that the responsibility is up to the person filing that.
Well, the average person probably doesn't get involved with it from the standpoint that they do have a closing and they do pay people to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, they're professional people who do it all the time. So they obviously are not doing just one usually. They're
Right.
doing multiples and they know the process. But an individual who may sell a property and not have a closing or whatever, sometimes if it involves relatives or
Okay.
whatever, then, they're gonna have this deed that is prepared and sometimes people are smart enough to be able to prepare their own deeds, although I would guess that's probably not the usual case because
No.
attorneys probably prepare it or whatever, title companies. But let's say I'm astute enough to be able to prepare the deed. I take it down to the auditor's office, and what the auditor's office basically does is verify that the legal description is correct and get it slotted in so that for collection of tax purposes, they know who owns the property, when it was bought, how much it was paid, and all that kind of stuff. And then once that is done, and I guess they put a stamp on it or whatever that indicates it has been transferred, then they can bring it to your office for recording. Then what
Right.
happens there? And let's go through the entire process. They bring it to the counter, and then what happens, and how does it actually get recorded?
Well, first of all, you said if someone off the street comes in, we do have them walk into my office and it hasn't been transferred, and we just instruct them they need to take it down. But if they're ill, can't do, we'll take it down for them.
Right.
Well, we have a terrific computer system that the girls stand there and put timestamps on it and book and page when it's recorded. So when it's handed across the counter, it's recorded at that time. Those
So
dates
if there's a
and time.
one-page deed that is going to be recorded, what's the fee for that?
Well, it's $28 for the first 2 pages and $8 for each additional page, and
Okay.
that just increased in '04.
Now, you don't set that. That's set throughout the state?
Set through the state.
Yeah.
When I first was there in 1989, it was $10 for the first 2 pages, 2 for each additional. And then in 1993, when I told you about the fee increase getting the set-aside fund, it went to 14 and 4. And then in August of '04, the state doubled our fees because they had researched and they knew that all the recorders' offices throughout the state were bringing in $100 million. So they wanted,
That piece
so
of
they doubled
change.
our fees, and at that time, $50 million was supposed to go for the homeless and $50 million to balance the state budget. Well, they probably will never reduce that or take it off. I don't know what they're doing with our extra money,
And they
but
probably will always be homeless, and the state budget will probably never be balanced.
wow. But
We might ask Ross about that. So.
oh, okay, hang around. Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, but then the process. Okay, it goes and then we index it, which means we put the grantor grantee and the legal description, and then it is we proof it twice to make sure there's no mistakes, or hopefully no mistakes. Some still get by us, and we admit
Right.
that. Then it's scanned. The document's scanned, and within 24 hours, we give all the documents back. Either mail them out where they tell us to send them, or people come back and pick them up.
And I'm assuming that if they want it mailed to a particular place, they can bring an envelope with a stamp on it, or you will charge them the postage.
Yes,
Yes.
but most generally they have they have their postage and envelope. It would break us if we had to do that
Sure.
because we have a lot.
Now, if I am, bringing a deed in there, for example, and maybe I'm a novice and the deed isn't necessarily correct, maybe when we talk about a deed, we talk about a grantor. That's the person who is designating the property to someone else, and the grantee, the person who is now the owner of it. Let's say that there was a deed that said that Nancy Pence owned a particular parcel of property. Okay, when I'm doing that, I get it mixed up some way, and I put the Larry Spicer owned it. Would you catch that?
It's not our responsibility. We don't
Okay.
practice law, so whatever you bring to the counter, if it meets the state code, which means it has to be notarized, an instrument prepared by it no longer requires witnesses. But that's what we look for, and legibility is a big thing.
Right.
We've had an awful lot of problems with legibility.
So the bottom line is, if a deed is incorrect, as long as it meets the technical qualifications, you're going to accept it.
We have no way of.
Which you have to do, basically.
Yeah, we have no way of
so
knowing.
you're recording that deed, and then, even though I may not be the legal owner, I would become the legal owner because that's the way it's recorded. Then it would be incumbent upon the legal owner to do whatever's necessary to
Exactly.
get the deed corrected,
Exactly.
and that can be done through an affidavit. There's a number of things that you can do in that regard. And a lot of times, particularly in businesses, there are mistakes with deeds, and they're honest mistakes, but nonetheless, they are mistakes. And one of the common things, like with a business, for example, if there's a name like, XYZ Enterprises Company, and they file it as XYZ Enterprises Incorporated, again, you have no way of knowing whether that's right, wrong, or otherwise, so it would be filed that way, and it could indeed mean that somebody else actually owns that property. Now, again, that can be corrected because you can file an affidavit of correction, and usually it involves people signing off on it and that sort of thing. But, things like that do happen, and I wanted to point out the fact that it is not your responsibility to catch those, and you really do not have any choice. You must record them.
And that is the important part of doing a title search, that chain of title, they call them.
Right. So after, I think I interrupted you, we had gotten it over the counter, and, it was reviewed and indexed and what have you, and then what happens thereafter as far as actually getting it into the system so that it can be viewed?
Yeah, the girls index it. Yeah, I
Okay.
said
Now,
that.
so they're going to put it in actual books?
No.
No?
We just type it into the computer.
Okay.
We have no hard copies in the office since
see.
1993.
Do you scan anything
Yeah,
anymore? or
we
you
scan and then we
it?
give it back or send
Okay.
it back to them.
So if I were to go on the website, could I possibly view a deed?
Back to 1988. Everything's in the computer, and you can view and print 24/7.
All right, let's talk about the computer, because the internet obviously has made title searches and things like that a lot easier than it used to be. It used to be that you'd have to go to the particular recorder's office and go through all the big books and what have you, and maybe go to a chiropractor afterwards because of all the lifting. But now you don't have to do that in many cases, particularly if it's since '88, because you can get online and talk, if you would, about the website, because you do have a website that's a fairly easy website and fairly common too. I think it's utilized throughout the state, a lot of different recorders' offices.
First of all, the books weigh about 35 pounds.
Wow.
Had one gal drop it on her toe, so I know. Well, there are 56 counties in the state of Ohio that have the computer system that I have, and it's really handy for those who need to do their work from home or whatever. But yeah, our website is landaccess.com, LANDACCESS.com.
We used to have a second computer here, and had we kept that second computer, I would try to get on there, but because the computer actually controls our signal, I'm not going to attempt that because we may not have a
Okay.
show. But I have been on there before, and it is, like I said, a fairly user-friendly
Yeah.
type website, and a fairly common one. If you do work with other counties as well, you'll see that, as Nancy said, 56 out of the 88 you say have it.
Yes.
So the other counties, are there any counties in the state that you're aware of that aren't online? I think there are still some that aren't online.
Yes, I think the smaller counties, they just don't have the extra money. So, but we're real proud of our internet, and I think that the people that are using it would be, they're excited about it. But you can view and print if you want. If you lose your deed or misplace it, well, you can come to the office and we'll certify one for you, a copy, $2 a page. But yeah, this is.
You can actually print a deed from the internet.
You can print anything from the internet, but it won't be certified.
I see.
So.
But as far as obtaining information, obviously, if you want to go online and do a search on a particular property or whatever, you can certainly do
Back
that.
to 1988.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as walking in the office.
And you can search, I guess, by name.
Yes, last name,
You can
first
also
name.
search by parcel ID, probably.
We're not set
You're
up
not
to
a
do the
parcel ID
parcel,
yet?
but under legal description, we do have a parcel there. So at some time we may, if the parcel is on the document when we receive it, we try to.
Now, let me ask you this. I know I do some work with Greene County, and they have gone to a system where they require a parcel ID on all documents. Do you have that at this point or not?
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's why we're entering them if they're on the document now, so that if we ever, would want to do that, we could.
Well, Mary Morris is the recorder in Greene County, and I haven't had a
Right.
chance to talk to her to find out why they decided to do that. I suspect there was some kind of a problem or whatever that caused it to happen, but we got some deeds back a while back that said that they were accepting them, but from now on they must have the parcel ID on it. So
Yeah.
I have that nice little friendly letter there in my file so that when I do recording in
Right.
Greene County, I remember to put the parcel ID on it, which isn't
Exactly.
any real big deal. It's just an extra step. But I mean, if you get used to doing it, it's not that big a deal. So,
Sure.
talking this morning with Nancy Pence, the Clark County Recorder. If you have questions for Nancy or would like to join us, our numbers are 399-9000. Again, 399-9000. Or 866-405-1478. That's 866-405-1478. We will be back with more Speak Out following these words.
Hi, this is Bill Hart from Joe's US 40 Grill. Join us in 2006 as we salute the 200th anniversary of the National Road with a great American hamburger. Our Burgerama celebration starts with our always fresh, never frozen hand-patted burgers. From our classic double-deckers to our black and blue burgers, all carry the history of Joe's great burgers. Do the Do Burgerama lunches start every Tuesday in the new year. $5.50 buys you our famous half-pound burger, fries, and a free Mountain Dew or Pepsi product. When you get hungry for a real burger, cooked and made when you order it, think of Joe's Grill, a local Springfield original.
The Yost Superior Company has served the spring industry since 1902 by providing mechanical springs and wire forms. For over a century, Yost Superior has built a solid reputation for quality work, fair prices, and timely delivery. They have over 1,000 customers throughout almost every state in the nation. Yost Superior's mission is to serve their customers so well that they have no reason to consider an alternate supplier. Over the past century, Yost Superior has employed the services of local craftsmen, engineers, clerical staff, and salesmen. And they're currently providing over 60 jobs to local residents. The management and employees of Yost Superior Company are proud to call Springfield home, and they're active in local community organizations. To find out more about the Yost Superior Company, call them at 323-7591 or visit them on the web at www.yostsuperior.com. The Yost Superior Company, the clear choice for springs, wire forms, and small stampings.
You're a professional truck driver and you know the importance of keeping your rig in top condition. Face it, it's not just your truck, it's your life and your livelihood. There's only one place in this part of the state for all your big rig parts. That's Dale's Truck Parts. Now you have to drive a few miles off the interstate to beautiful Cedarville to get there, but when you do, you'll find parts from dismantled Kenworths, Pete's, Volvo, Freightliner, and other big rigs. Need Isuzu, Nissan, Mitsubishi, or other foreign truck parts? Dale's Truck Parts has them too. You'll find a large selection of Cummins, Detroit, Cat, and other truck engines. And Dale's Truck Parts even stocks drivetrains and transmissions for most 18-wheelers. If you're a driver or mechanic searching for a specific part, just visit Dale's Truck Parts, www.dalestruckparts.com, or call Dale's Truck Parts at 1-800-848-3589. That's 1-800-848-3589. Visit Dale's Truck Parts Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. They're on US 42 just west of Cedarville. That's Dale's Truck Parts, your local source for big rig parts.
Miami Valley weather.
Taking a look at your weather forecast, it's summed up basically with cloudy showers and thunderstorms for the entire weekend. Today, mostly cloudy showers and thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Not as cool with highs in the lower 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms again, lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms likely in the morning, then partly cloudy with continued chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, a high near 70. And tomorrow night, partly cloudy in the evening, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight with lows in the upper 50s. So high temperatures, but cloudy and thunderstorms. Currently 46 at your home for Speak Out, 1600 WULM. All right, we're back with Speak Out. I'm Larry Spicer. In studio with me, Nancy Pence, the Clark County Recorder. Again, our number is 399-9000 or 866-405-1478. And don't forget, you can also hear us on the web, www.1600wulm.net. And there's a little button on there that you can click on to, and you can listen to us live on the internet as well as on our 1600 frequency. So you may want to give that a try if you have not done so as of yet. You can take us with you wherever you are going this morning by way of radio or the internet. Nancy, weather forecast is going to be warm, but rainy and cloudy and all that good stuff. And then radio, they call it a segue. What I'm going to say is that it's never cloudy or dull and doomy at the recorder's office because everybody's cheerful and ready to help, right?
That's right. Everybody's friendly.
All right. You had some things you wanted to talk about, and this is your opportunity to do that.
Well, I just thought I should mention how the recorder's functions started, and that was back in 1790.
A little before your time, obviously.
At first, the recorder was appointed by a common pleas judge.
Mm-hmm.
It became an elected position in 1829, and then in 1936, a term was established for 4 years. In Clark County, we've had 24 recorders. The first one was David Kaiser, and he was maybe appointed.
What, do you know what year he
Term
served?
started April 10th, 1818.
Wow.
And then there were a couple recorders that had two different terms with a space in there. And Miriam Yazel stayed 36 years from 1945 to 1981. So we
How long
haven't
have
had
you
a
been
long-
there? How many years?
I'm in my 5th term. This is my 18th year.
So you're there half as long as Miriam was there. So you think you'll be there the next 18?
I doubt that. Not as long as Miriam.
All right. Well, that's interesting. And then how long was Pauline Bertram there?
I believe she was only there 2 terms, 8
terms.
years.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where once you get in, if you're doing a good job, and obviously you are, then it's fairly easy to get reelected, although there are from time to time some people who decide that maybe they can do things a little better. They have their cause out there and what have you. Now, when are you up for reelection again?
I just started my
Next term?
Yeah,
So
so
you
it'll
got
be
a
in
little while yet.
08.
I see.
The next term would start in 09, so I would run
see.
in 08.
So you have a little time yet before you have to worry
Couple
about whether or not
years.
somebody's going to be opposing you and
Yeah.
campaigning and all that good stuff.
Oh,
So,
right.
we mentioned during the break that was off air, so obviously people didn't hear it because I did have the button off so that they couldn't hear what we were talking about off air. But you said that for example, if there was some kind of a disaster and all of the records down there burnt, there still is a record someplace, correct?
All of my records are duplicated and stored underground in Pennsylvania. It's a company called Iron Mountain. And if we had a disaster, the recorder's office could be back in business in 72 hours, whether it was in a mobile home, wherever they
right?
set us up at the fairgrounds or wherever, we could be back up operating in 72 hours.
I wonder if Puxatawny Phil goes through the Clark County Recorder records over there in Pennsylvania.
I don't know.
Spare time. He
It
might.
really is an interesting place. We've toured it, and you just can't imagine.
So it's underground.
Underground.
And is it like a vault or
Yeah.
whatever? I mean, it
Yeah, but
obviously
there's
has
lots
to
of
be
people
protected
work
from the
there,
elements.
and it's just a lot of people store things.
Now, how do you, I guess, get the information from your office there in the A.B. Graham building to Pennsylvania? Do you scan it? What do you do to get it there?
We just send the computer system, the company that I'm with, we send them images and on a CD, and then they're responsible for it. They send it on to the storage.
So, in other words, as you said, within 72 hours, you can be back up and
Mm-hmm.
running again. So, there would be no danger of, if there was a disaster or whatever, somebody being able to claim that they own somebody else's property.
No,
because you could back that up.
should be on. Yeah, we should have it all stored
Okay.
for them.
What else do you have for us?
Well, I serve on different boards.
Yeah,
for
let's
the
talk
county.
about that. When
Okay. Mm-hmm.
we've had other people in, the auditor and other people, we've asked them about their duties that are prescribed by law, and you obviously have some duties that are prescribed by law, and that includes serving on certain boards.
Right.
And some of these boards are rather interesting with their titles, and you wonder why they would even be necessary, and others
Right.
they're pretty obvious. But what are those boards?
Well, a couple of them are. I believe Kathy Ballas started these when she was here. I serve on the county personnel committee to assist the county in identify and implement policies and procedures. And then
Now, that doesn't mean you actually participate in the hiring.
no,
This is
no,
a
it's
policy
just
type
policy
issue,
type,
right?
yeah. And then there's a risk management committee, and we work to reduce risk for the employees and lower the county and the public's potential liability. And then there's 3 that's required by law that I serve on. And one is the county's record commission, and it authorizes the retention of county records and determines when and how these government records may be disposed of. And then the automatic data processing board, which George probably talked about.
Sure.
And that's to authorize any purchase, lease, or contract for data processing equipment for any of the county offices. It's just so everyone isn't going out buying something, and they just kind of have a better track of what's going on. And then the microfilming, it's required that the recorder serve as secretary and chief administrator of the county's microfilming board, and you just authorize purchase, lease, or contract for microfilming equipment in county offices, and you just oversee that operation. However, I've been contracting that out for about 15 years. When the gal that was doing microfilming left, I chose not to fill that position, so I'm saving the county about $20,000 a year by contracting out with TAC 2. So a lot of people are not microfilming, like my
Right.
system is all in one package, and I know that some of the other offices are also getting the package like that, so they don't have to worry about getting it to us to be microfilmed.
Okay, we'll talk more about your cost-saving efforts here in just a second. We do have a call, I believe. Good morning. You're on the air. Hello. I guess they decided not to ask you the question after all, so you're safe for another call here. I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't get a chance to talk to them. But at any rate, cost savings, I know that's one of the things that you're proud of, that you have had some cost savings efforts during your tenure as the recorder.
Right.
And what are some of those?
Well, I would say by modernizing the office and, being able to cut the staff. I mean, in half, I've just saved a lot of money in that respect.
So if we talk about the actual budget for the Clark County Recorder's Office, how much of that is, we said that it's pretty much a self-sustaining operation, but you obviously must receive some money from the county commission.
I do. Actually, I have a separate budget for that special equipment fund, which I mentioned that I pay all my equipment out of. And then they give me another fund, the general fund, and I pay my salaries and office supplies and travel.
And how much money are we talking about? Do you have any idea?
Probably in the general fund, probably $270 a year.
And then the revenue produced obviously depends upon how many deeds are recorded and that sort of thing. But,
Yeah,
but the self-sustaining
right.
revenue, how much are we talking there?
Okay. Last year the general fund was $665,000.
Now, do you ever have an excess of funds, more funds than you need to run the office, or not?
Not really.
Not really?
No,
Okay.
no, because everything's pretty much structured into the, you just look at the year before and maybe add a few dollars
Yeah,
for travel
for
or
inflation,
whatever. But no, it's always real close. As a matter of fact, by the end of the year, we're all transferring money around from different funds different appropriations.
All right, what about the relationship that you have with other counties? My assumption is there's probably a county recorders association.
There is, and
Are
it's
you involved in that?
it's great.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I didn't take any big roles this year. It just wasn't.
You served
Good
as an
time.
officer in the past?
No,
or no.
no.
How often does that body get together, and what kinds of things do you
We
do?
have 2 conferences. We have a summer and a fall conference, and then we have continuing ed. We're required to obtain X number of hours per year, and we have district meetings. We have 4 of those a year. We have 4 in the spring, 4 in the fall. I'm sorry, there's 8 of those. And we have continuing ed twice a year. So, and we have a listserv they call, and they're always constantly putting out any kind of information on that, and everybody talk back and forth and share. If they have a problem in the office or something they'll call and say, "Have you had this problem before?"
So I suppose that it's like anything else. When you get used to your counterparts from other counties and what have you, that they call you and you call them. And you kind
It's a very tight group, yeah.
Type thing, yeah.
Really tight group.
What about the state government's involvement with the recorder's office? You don't really answer to anybody at the state level, do you? Is there anybody
No.
that sends information down to your office from the state level, or are you pretty much operate without regard to the state.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. The only one I have to answer to is the Ohio Revised Code.
Okay. And federal, I would assume, is the same way.
Yeah, we
There's
don't-
nothing there either. Is there a National Recorders Association?
There is.
There
There
is.
is.
Are you involved in
Well, I
that at
haven't
all?
been able to attend any of that because usually it's like in California, or,
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. And but you're saying that there are continuing education requirements.
exactly.
And, the thing that's interesting, obviously, I don't know exactly what the requirements are for a recorder. I suppose you have to be able to get on the ballot, and basically that involves submitting a petition and getting the number of numbers. But there aren't any mandated requirements, are there, as far as education or
No,
experience?
no.
Such as, for example, a sheriff, you have to have certain qualifications, obviously.
No.
But so it is possible then that somebody could run. I mean, even if they were popular, if they knew nothing at all about how to be a recorder, they could run and possibly get elected. And I guess are there? So somebody, let's just say, and I'm not trying to slap you or put you on the spot here, but let's just say that somebody gets elected to the county recorder's position. They're totally green, know nothing about it, and now they're the recorder of Clark County. So how do they bump up other than on-the-job experience and learning from those who are there that may know what's going on? Are there any seminars or things that are put on by organizations that would allow them to kind of bump up a little bit faster?
Exactly. You can never learn too much. You just anytime you can reach out and get some information to help operate that office or make you a little more knowledgeable.
So like the County Recorders Association, do they have, for example, a seminar or whatever that for new recorders that,
Oh, yes.
that kind of
It-
gives them a little
yeah.
more training or whatever?
Yeah, every 4 years they have a new recorders seminar. And when I was first recorder, we had 26 new recorders went in 1989.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And then, retiring and the passing of people, and just didn't have a lot. And again this year, we had 23 or
20-some?
24.
Really?
And so now I feel like the older group.
Do most of the recorders seem to stay in office for a period of time? I would think they probably
Yeah,
would.
some of them have their eyesight on different things. Like Miami County Recorder is running for county commissioner, and we've had, since I've been recorder, we've had 4 or 5 that have ran for auditor.
How about
elected.
Nancy Pence? Any desire there? You're serving as the Pike Township clerk, correct?
Yes.
And also the county recorder, but you don't have any aspirations of reaching out and moving on in politics?
None, thank you.
Happy to be there on
Just
the 3rd
wanna-
floor of the A.B. Graham
just
building
wanna
with your
stay-
patriotic theme.
just
and,
wanna stay in the
I see.
recorder's office.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Let's talk about your relationship with other county government officials. I would imagine that it's kind of a tight group from the standpoint that you run into each other on a regular basis and you're required to deal with people on a regular basis. Your relationship with the commission is good, as far as I know.
Yes.
You have some workings with the auditor, I guess.
Exactly.
So it does require, I guess the job does require that you be people friendly to a certain extent, because it'd be kind of tough to function otherwise. So in addition to deeds, which we have basically limited our discussion thus far to deeds, what other kinds of things are recorded at the county recorder's office?
Well, mortgages, of course, if you get a deed, but you don't have the money, then you got to borrow. So we record mortgages, and certificate of transfers. That's if someone passes, and then they do a certificate of transfer. Land contracts are recorded in the recorder's office, and plats, and condominiums, power of attorney, zoning resolutions and maps, and those are recorded, or those are filed in the Clark County Planning, but it's just a service to have them in my office, so they don't have to go down or wherever they're at now. I guess they're moving out east. Annexations, military discharges are recorded in my office, and financing statements. And several years ago, financing statements, if you bought a refrigerator, a couch, whatever, all that was filed in my office. And then I'm thinking it's been 5 or 6 years that they moved it to the Secretary of State. So now the only financing statements that are in the recorder's office are the ones that are attached to real estate. And then we have liens, different kinds of liens that are filed there. Mechanics liens, workers' comp liens, and federal tax liens, unemployment. So,
How about notice of commencements?
yes, that notice of commencement. If they're going to build something, they have to
Yeah, that's relatively new in comparison to some of the other documents.
Right. It's been there a few years. So.
The fees for all of these things, are they the same as...
Yes, except like the zoning,
Mm-hmm.
and they file their maps in the beginning, and there's a fee for that. Like, I think it's $100 because it doubled, and then each time they bring it in, then it's $28.08 when they're amending it. And we keep a file folder on them. They're not given a book and page; they're just given, the number and timestamps. So.
Now, let me ask you about the people who are in the business of doing title searches and real estate recordings and this, that, and the other, and so forth. Do you take? I know that if the person walks in down there, you're going to take cash from them and checks, and do you also take Visa, MasterCard, or not?
No, we do
You
not because of the percentage
right.
that.
Yeah, you would lose some money, obviously. But what about those people that have a volume of business with you? Do you have accounts where they can pay you like on a monthly basis, or do they have to pay each time as well, or how's that work?
They pay as they record.
They pay as they
we just
record.
haven't started that. There would just be a little more bookkeeping.
Sure.
But it hasn't been a problem yet. Once in a while, we'll have someone ask if we'll take a debit card, but rarely. I mean, it's usually someone from out of town.
Yeah.
And we usually just tell them where the nearest ATM machine is at.
Do you have much trouble with bounce checks or not?
No, actually, we don't. Maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Not
And it
bad.
seems like when we do, we'll get a couple
Couple of time, yeah.
I don't know check the season, I guess, to see what that's all about.
Now, let's talk about when Steve Metzger was here, the county treasurer. We talked about some of his duties and what have you, but let's say somebody comes in and obviously they pay for the recording, and at the end of the day, you have receipts. I'm assuming you keep track of that on a regular basis, obviously.
Well, that's
And do
in
you
the
have
system.
to deposit those with Steve's office? Or
Yes.
how does that work?
Yeah, we go to the auditor's office and we get a pay-in slip that says how much money we have, and we take it to Steve's office, and
And
then,
he's responsible
yeah,
for actually
and then he
physically
gives us a
getting it to the bank.
he gives us a receipt, and we keep that till the end of the month, and when we balance out all of our, everything balances.
Okay. We'll be back. We're going to be talking more and actually kind of wrapping up. The hour has gone by pretty quickly, talking with Nancy Pence, the Clark County Recorder. More Speak Out following these words.
The Yost Superior Company has served the spring industry since 1902 by providing mechanical springs and wire forms. For over a century, Yost Superior has built a solid reputation for quality work, fair prices, and timely delivery. They have over 1,000 customers throughout almost every state in the nation. Yost Superior's mission is to serve their customers so well that they have no reason to consider an alternate supplier. Over the past century, Yost Superior has employed the services of local craftsmen, engineers, clerical staff, and salesmen. And they're currently providing over 60 jobs to local residents. The management and employees of Yost Superior Company are proud to call Springfield home, and they're active in local community organizations. To find out more about the Yost Superior Company, call them at 323-7591 or visit them on the web at www.yostsuperior.com. The Yost Superior Company, the clear choice for springs, wire forms, and small stampings.
Has your carpet seen better days? Have you been wanting a fresher look to your home? There's no better time than now to see James Quality Flooring, just off North Bechtel Avenue in Springfield behind the former Scooters restaurant. Now at James Quality Flooring, you can choose from 5 different colors of laminate, in stock now at $1.29 a foot. You'll find 3/4-inch thick Bruce hardwood in stock at $2.99 a square foot. Choose from over 200 remnants and over 200 rolls of vinyl. James Quality Flooring can make any room look brand new. Carpet installation starts at just $10.95 with pad. James Quality Flooring will come to your home and give you a free estimate. Whether it's new living room carpet to help you stay warm this winter, kitchen carpeting, or carpet for any other room, see James Quality Flooring, now located at 1401 Fottler Street, right behind the old Scooters restaurant off North Bechtel Avenue. You can call James Quality Flooring at 325-5541. That's 325-5541 for your free estimate. James Quality Flooring is looking forward to making your floors look and feel beautiful.
Miami Valley weather.
Your Miami Valley weather for today, mostly cloudy, showers, thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Not as cool, however, with highs in the lower 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms again, lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms likely in the morning, then partly cloudy with a continued chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, highs near 70. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy in the evening, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight, lows in the upper 50s. Currently 47 degrees at your home for Speak Out with Larry Spicer on 1600 WULM. Back on Speak Out, and joining us on the live line, as we like to say, is one John Dietrich. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Nancy. I just wanted to give kudos. You'd mentioned Steve Metzger early, and Steve and Nancy do an outstanding job in their department areas. They have very efficient staffs and are highly productive serving the citizens of Clark County. I just thought I'd mention it on the air.
Thank you.
Well, that's good. And Nancy and I are both wondering how you define kudos. Sounds like praise. A new treat from Frito-Lay.
In English, it means praise.
Oh,
praise. Okay.
That's nice of you. Thank you.
Well, that sounds good. Kudos to you, too. What are you doing this morning?
Well, I just left Kroger's, and I'm getting ready to go over to the Masonic home. A friend of ours' father passed away. Susan and John Webb used to be residents of Clark County, and John was principal out at Shawnee. His father-in-law died.
Well, our sympathy to that family, and we know that John Dietrich is always out and about serving the citizens, and Nancy and I were talking about how much enthusiasm you have, and I attribute that to those cold coffee drinks that you have.
Well, thank you.
All those donuts.
Yeah, that's probably true,
Sugar.
too. And talking on the cell phone. He's always on the cell phone. How many cell phones do you have now, John?
Just two. I have one for county business and the other for I use my other one most of the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to get a third one because I'm getting tired of getting busy signals when I try to get you.
Okay.
All right, John, thanks for calling.
Keep up good work.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
John Dietrich, a hardworking county commissioner, and always a lot of life. And I guess Nancy and I share the sentiment. We both wish we had his enthusiasm. Sometimes it's difficult to be enthusiastic, but John's never down. He's always up. And at any rate, appreciate the kind words, and I'm sure you do too, Nancy.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy to work with. All the commissioners, backing up to when you talked about me getting along with the other elected officials, I don't have a problem. I get along with all of them, and I'm real proud of that because everybody just works well together and do our best.
Well, that's good. That's what it takes. Obviously, everybody working toward a common cause because all of you are public servants trying to serve the citizens of Clark County. And,
exactly.
So, what else do you need to talk about there? I know you had you have a complete set of notes there in your folder. And,
they're kind of spread out, but I just kind of want to talk about. Well, you talked about how efficient the office is, and we want to continue to keep things rolling in that manner. But it looks like the next thing coming to the recorder's office will be electronic recording, and that's where you won't even have to come to the recorder's office. And the computer system I have. I believe they just installed in Butler. We kind of let Butler be our trial site and take all the bugs out of everything before the rest of us jump in. And they are doing a demo over there next week.
Butler County you're talking about?
Butler County. And they're doing a demo there next week, but I won't be able to attend. But he said I could come over another day and see how it actually works. I'm excited about it.
And what are they going to be doing?
Electronic recording.
Electronic recording. So how does that work?
Well, through the wires, but like a fax machine, I guess, and I don't know the full story, but they'll send the document through.
So they'll transmit it electronically, basically, and it will record through the electronic procedures.
Yes, and we'll just have to check the computer, I guess, along the screen, the bottom, and then they'll have X number are there, and then when you get a minute, you'll just go pull them off and record them, and same manner, you just won't have anyone coming in, and then we'll be hooked to a bank that, that's how we'll get our... Probably would stop the bad checks, but we don't get a lot anyway. But I mean, it still will, and it'll save the people a lot, just mailings and getting them back to them. So it'll be exciting to get that going. I would think within a year we might be doing that.
All right, so if somebody wants to get a hold of the recorder's office, obviously we've given the address there at the A.B. Graham building, and that's at the corner of Limestone and Columbia, correct?
Yes.
And you're on the third floor.
Yes.
And the website, give that address once again.
It's Land Access, LANDACCESS.com. And that's our website.
All right, and phone numbers.
328-2445 or 328-2446.
Okay. And, I guess we should talk about people who are wanting information. Some people are computer literate, so they can get on the computer and access it and actually come up with what the information that they're actually seeking. They can actually go to the office, obviously, and the people there are going to be helpful to them in terms of getting what they need.
Very helpful.
The thing that I did want to bring up, because it does tend to occupy some time, although I suppose on rare occasions maybe it's permissible, but is it possible for somebody to call the recorder's office and ask them to look something up?
We do not give out information over the phone for fear that we tell them wrong or they write it down wrong.
Right.
So we offer the internet, and if they don't have that, then we say, could you come in or have someone come in for you, because anyone can purchase the copy.
So a lot of ways actually to access information from the recorder's office, and again, want to emphasize the fact that everybody there is friendly and willing to help. And
Thank you.
It's not that difficult, but until you're used to it, and the average person, let's face it, does not do this on a regular basis.
And when that happens, when someone walks in and they say, I don't know how to do this, well, one of the girls will go in with them or whoever and just, stay with them till they understand what they're doing or come back for help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what hours are you open?
8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
Okay, 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. You're not closed any time for lunch or anything like that?
No, we don't close at lunch.
All right. And I guess we'll ask you if you have anything else there in your folder. It's an awfully big folder. It certainly has a lot of information.
No,
I
I just had a lot of things taped there. Notes.
Okay. All right. It looks impressive, by the way.
Well, maybe I'll just save it.
Okay.
Next time we'll talk about the same thing. No,
John,
I just thank you
when he comes on
for...
the show, just brings his little, drink, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Well, he likes to talk.
He's a plethora of information.
Exactly.
There's all these figures up there in his head.
He
like
keeps us
computers,
all going.
Yep.
I just thank you for having me today.
No problem.
And get to talk about the recorder's office, which I enjoy doing.
Well, we've tried to get most of the elected officials in here, and we've gone through. We've had several commissioners, John Dietrich, of course, and we're trying to get Dave Hartley. He's still thinking about it, I guess. Roger Tackett has been with us. We've had Steve Metzger, George Sodders. A number of different people, and that's what the show's all about, trying to not only entertain but also educate. And the recorder's office is something that the average person really doesn't deal with on a regular basis, obviously. And I suppose that most people in their lifetimes purchase a home maybe once, twice, sometimes three times, whatever. They may go through some various mortgages because of declining interest rates or whatever, but it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, and you don't really think a whole lot about it until such time when you have a need to use it. And it's nice to know that it's there and that people are friendly and that you can get the job done. I guess the thing that impresses me as much as anything, of course, you're saying computerization has contributed to this somewhat, but you're talking about the fact that the staff has gone from 10 to 5 since you started in 1988, and yet the filings have increased significantly, obviously.
Exactly.
So
we're organized, I guess.
What I ask about everybody this just for the heck of it. I suppose there's no typical day in the life of Nancy Pence as the recorder, but how would you spend your day, for example? When do you usually get to the office, and what do you do while you're there? And that sort of thing?
I'm usually there when it opens or before it opens, and you might see my car on the street on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. That's my catch-up time, quiet time to get things done. But I'm responsible for the payroll and paying the bills for the office and purchase orders, and I take care of all the records for my staff, payroll, sick, vacation, leave records, and there's just lots to do all the time. I mean, there's always something to do. I don't have much, and if I have some idle time, then I go out and see if I can help the girls.
Mm-hmm.
My
so
staff.
You're not somebody that doesn't come to the office days upon time.
Oh,
and
no.
You're in the office just kind of sit there and polish your nails.
Oh,
and all that
gosh,
kind of
no.
stuff, so. All right. Anything else that you want to add?
No.
I think we've covered most of the things. But if you had to pinpoint one thing, that is, we've talked about the computerization and so forth, but other than that, what one thing is most significantly different about the recorder's office today than 1988? Other than the staff, there's not quite as many staff. The computers are there, and there are more computers now in their work, because there used to be one. Now there's quite a few.
I would say the atmosphere.
How old is the computer system?
I started in 1994.
94. So it hasn't been replaced?
Oh, yeah. We've
Oh, it
had two
has,
upgrades.
okay.
Oh, just in 04, summer of 04, we replaced everything, flat screens and all that. But that doesn't cost me anything because I'm under contract, and that's paid out of that the set-aside fund.
Right. Okay. So you found a way basically to keep up with technology and really not spend a whole lot of money as
Exactly.
well. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, I know that when the fair is going on and what have you, you tend to be out there, and I think you've given out some nail files or
Exactly.
something in the past. So.
I'm not on the fair board. I haven't been on for several years now. My son is on the fair board. But it was a 10-year, and you have to go off. They have a setup. So, you know it's time to go.
Right.
Work
So
out.
you've been involved with the fair
Yes,
as well.
and I work
obviously.
out of the fair booth, and and hand out different things. I'm pretty fair oriented. My whole family is.
So you've been around Clark County all your life then?
Yeah, I was born in Champaign
Champaign
County.
County.
Yeah, I went to school there, but I've been in Clark County over 30 years.
Now, what the duties, and I guess we should just point that out to be fair, the duties that you have as the county recorder in no way conflict and vice versa with the duties that you have as the clerk of Pike Township, correct?
Exactly. I had been clerk since '84, and then when I was elected, I had Steve Shoemaker, the prosecutor, write a ruling, because if you had to give up one of them, I was going to give up the clerk. But there was a law written in 1931 that there's no conflict, so I was able to keep it.
And basically, your job as a clerk, you attend the meetings and record the minutes of the meeting and that sort of thing. And
Pay
I
the
suppose you have
bills
some
and-
other work to do as well. But
it's
you
growing.
do that work. You don't do that on the job, but as a recorder.
There's no way
obviously.
you can do that
Yeah.
because it's computerized also, and
Right.
so you cannot put the two together or do one
Right.
at the other place.
So there's no way that anybody can convince you to run for a higher office. Then.
I don't believe so. No, thank you.
All right, and
I just want to play with my granddaughter.
just out of
My
curiosity,
spare time.
you've been there since 1988. How long do you think you intend to be there?
Oh, I don't know.
You're just going to go when you're ready, huh?
Well, yeah, I haven't thought about it, and I'm not a stay-at-home person, so, you never know what your health is going
Sure.
to do, but I have no plans at this point, so hopefully you'll see me around for a while.
Well, I'm sure we will. And what kind of additions are you going to be making in terms of making the place a little more homey? Because like I said, I know I haven't been there for a little while because I've been out of town most of the time during the course of the day, but it used to have a patriotic theme. Is that
It
still
does.
the case?
It still has patriotic.
And
yeah.
I assume you've added some more gadgets
Well,
and what have you?
No.
No?
And if we had gadgets, they're patriotic, but we do classy patriotics, we don't, there are crafts and there are
Yeah.
crafts, but we have nice things, it's not just tacky. So we get lots of compliments. We even have men compliment on the office, which is kind of unusual. They usually don't pick up on that kind of thing. So
Well, I certainly pick up on it because I obviously see people, and by the way, no offense to John Dietrich, but you're much more glamorous looking than John and some of the other people we've had here to interview. So, and Ross McGregor has arrived, and I hope you didn't totally hear my comment there. Not that Ross is ugly, but
Ross,
Ross is taking his jacket off, and
We gotta get
we'll
some
have him
air
here
in
a
this
moment.
place.
Yes, it is kind of hot, probably because of all the hot air that I'm putting
Oh,
out.
okay.
But,
So what
we
it
do
is.
want to thank you for being here, Nancy. You've been a long-serving county recorder and a good public servant, and you're doing a great job. And we hope that you continue to do that. And again, let's one last time give the people the ways in which they may contact you. The website again is.
Land Access, LandAccess.com,
All right.
or by phone, 328-2445 or 328-2446.
All right, and then I think in addition to that, they can also come down to the office, and that office is located where again?
31 North Limestone Street, that's the corner of Columbia and Lime, in the A.B. Graham building, and we're on the top floor.
Now, can you look out there and see those rusty H's?
That is outside my window.
There's a little 4-H park there that was
Right.
constructed, and I don't know. It looks like a pretty nice place, but I keep looking at that color, trying to decide if it's rust or just natural metal or
I
whatever
think it's
it is.
rust. But they wanted it to look like
Yeah,
that.
I know they did,
I asked
so.
that question in the beginning, but
Yeah, it looks like a new park with old stuff is what it looks
Yeah.
like, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, thanks a lot, Nancy. Appreciate you being here, and we'll let you get out of here and get some good fresh air, and have a good weekend.
Thank you
Get
for-
Ross over there and get him in the hot seat. And I do have a call-in question that was asked of Ross already, so Ross, we'll start with that, and then we'll move on from there. So come on over and join us. Ross McGregor is joining us at this point. Ross was appointed to the seat that Merle Kearns once had, and I believe that's, the 72nd District? And you have been, she can go out that way probably, yeah, that's okay. We're switching sides here. Thanks again, Nance. Ross McGregor, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Larry.
We've had you on before, but you were on by phone. Now you're in studio, of course. And again, the numbers to call if you're interested in talking with Ross, 399-9000. That's the local number, 399-9000. 866-405-1478. Toll free, 866-405-1478. Ross McGregor, 72nd District, is that right?
That's correct.
And it's the House. It's the seat that Merle Kearns had. Merle became a cabinet member when she took over as the director of the Ohio Department of Aging, and Ross was appointed to that seat. How long have you been serving now?
I was appointed on October the 5th of last year, Larry, so I've been on the job now for some 5 months.
That's kind of amazing that it's been that long. I'm sure there are days when it doesn't seem like that and other days when it probably does. So, been a learning curve, obviously?
Very steep learning curve.
And how have you adjusted thus far? Have you been enjoying it or not?
I'm enjoying it immensely. It's a very challenging position. It's something that, it's very different from my environment of manufacturing and in business. So, you're learning to work with a whole new group of people.
Right.
And it's, you're part of a group that's representing the entire state. Mm-hmm. And so I have to do my best to take what I believe to be the sentiment of the district here in Springfield and Western Clark County and take that over to Columbus and add that to everyone else's feelings so that we can run the state.
So one of the criteria that I know the screening committee was looking for when you were recommended as a possibility for appointment was that you would be willing to run for the job on a permanent basis when it became available. And I'm assuming that after serving 5 months at this point that you have solidified your desire to continue in the position and are indeed going to be running.
Well, the first 5 months didn't scare me off. So, yes, you're right. I do plan on running for election this November.
You, of course, will be the Republican candidate, and I think you have some opposition as well.
As I understand it, I believe that there are 3 gentlemen who are seeking the Democratic position to run against me in November, and they'll have a primary this May.
Okay. And then, of course, the winner of that will take you on in the November general election, and then the winner will be in Columbus for, 4 years?
No, it's a 2-year term. 2-year term.
Right.
It's a 8 years total that is available to hold the seat before your term limited out. So you'd go through 4 general elections in the House, as opposed to the Senate, where they have 2 4-year terms.
Yeah, and that, I guess there's been some talk about that over the course of time, and I don't know what your feelings are. I guess I'll just ask you. It seems like that if you're elected for a 2-year period, sooner get through campaigning for the 1 term, you have to do it all over again, and maybe that might interfere a little bit with your ability to legislate. Do you think that there ought to be some kind of a move to perhaps get the terms to be extended so that you don't have to campaign and then you can benefit from the experience that you gain?
I have a mixed response to that question, Larry. I think that obviously I've only been there 5 months, and you're right. I think when you're in the House, you're constantly campaigning, and that can interfere a little bit with the ability to legislate. But I think that there's a balance there. I think that the House is a body that needs to be able to, if you can win election and if your constituents see fit to send you back, fine. But if they need to make a change, every 2 years isn't a bad thing, as opposed to the Senate, where you have a little bit more longevity with a 4-year term. My concern, I think, is the length of the term limits, and I think that perhaps it might not be a bad idea to give some consideration to lengthening from 8 years to maybe something like 12 years.
You're talking about both the House and the Senate? Or?
Yes, correct, because what I have found is that, there's hard to have any institutional memory because people are, all of a sudden, you're getting up to speed. I mean, I do not claim any way, shape, or form at 5 months on the job to know everything or even close to everything. I'm still learning.
Right.
But it seems that after you get through your first term and you understand where things are and how they're working, all of a sudden you're up against your 8-year term limit.
Right.
And I think that there could be some benefit to lengthening that 8 years, and I think that would still, there'd be term limits. People say, we don't want to have career politicians, but still you're going to get, I think, more bang for your buck as a citizen when the person has the opportunity to be there a little bit longer length of time.
Well, I would tend to agree. I think that, on the one hand, we do want some new, fresh ideas from people and what have you. By the same token, there is certainly something to be said about experience. And I know that just imagining, haven't been there like you have, but obviously it takes a while to get your feet wet to actually understand the system, know how things work. Get acquainted with people, know who to politic with and who to, shake hands with and what have you. And it would seem to me like it would take, a minimum of 2 years just to do the very minimum on that, and then you're faced with re-election, and then you have 2 more years, and again you're faced with re-election, and it would seem to be like that the focus would not be as much on legislation as it perhaps could be if you had the opportunity to rest a little bit and actually serve out a term, and perhaps extending the term limits might be a way to do that. Bright and early this morning when I first got here, we had a caller said that he would not be able to call in during the time you were on, but wanted me to ask you about the practice that is commonly called double dipping. There are a number of people in government that are actually serving in their position. They will retire and then they will come back, be hired again or whatever. This is true not only in education but also in some of the government positions. Some of the elected officials have done it, and they get the opportunity to not only receive their salary but also their retirement. And this individual wants to know what your position is on that. He does not think it should be proper, and therefore wants to know if there's anything in the works to perhaps eliminate that in the near future.
Larry, I'm familiar with the situation that you're talking about, and I think that I can't say that I've really formulated a solid position on it. I can say that there's nothing that I've heard of in the 5 months I've been there as far as any legislation concerning the situation of double dipping, as the caller referred to it, and I can see how people may see this as being a problem. I also understand that sometimes there'll be situations where, let's say in the case of an elected official, if there's nobody else that's running for that office, somebody needs to hold it. Maybe there's a lack of qualified people coming up behind that person. So it's an issue that needs to have, that I personally would have to give more thought to before I could make a comment really one way or the other.
Yeah, I think in some cases the people do it and they're experienced, and it actually winds up costing the county or the school district a little less money because they don't have to pay certain benefits to that individual that they would otherwise pay. But by the same token, it does deny others the opportunity to serve in the position. In many cases, it's done because the people simply cannot find somebody to fill the position.
That's exactly what I was saying, yeah.
The theory would be that it would be better to have somebody who served in the position to continue to serve in the position, even though you're compensating them with both retirement and salary, as opposed to having somebody who isn't really qualified to serve in the position. So I think that pretty well adequately answers that. You obviously need more thought on it, and certainly it is something that is being discussed. I don't know that it's on the front burner, but it certainly is not on the back burner either, and I think that obviously that will continue to be something that citizens are going to want to address and will want their legislators to address. The other big thing, obviously, and not that there's just a couple of things that you're dealing with, but certainly one of the things that is in the news more often than not is school funding. And
sure.
I know that's no secret to you that I would ask you about that.
I'd have been disappointed if you didn't.
We have obviously some lofty opinions that have been rendered about 4 times now that say that funding of schools in Ohio is not equitable, not adequate, perhaps not even constitutional, and yet there has been no solution that is palpable enough for everyone to agree on that we have a solution that's in effect. And consequently, school districts continue to struggle to make ends meet. And there are those who obviously say that funding of schools in Ohio is, a situation that needs attention. It's right now heavily reliant on property taxes. People are getting tired of paying the property taxes. People cannot afford to pay the property taxes in some case. What can you tell us as far as behind the scenes? We know what we read in the paper, what we hear on the streets, and this, that, and the other, but is there any active push on the part of the legislature to do something about funding in Ohio schools?
It is not. I mean, there are other issues that are receiving much more attention right now, at least in the 5 months I've been there. And I certainly did not seek the appointment without knowing full well that the citizens of the 72nd District, particularly those here in Springfield City School District, would have a keen interest in the school funding issue. And it's what I have found to date is it's an exceptionally complex, perhaps even overly complex method of funding schools. Regrettably, as I mentioned a moment ago, it's not receiving a whole lot of attention as, say, something like predatory lending, which is receiving a lot of attention right now. I am doing my very best to become as knowledgeable on the school funding situation, obviously not only as it affects the Springfield City schools, but all the school districts here in the 72nd District and in the state of Ohio. I meet with and just met with yesterday the Bruce Stewart and the other superintendents. I meet with them monthly at a meeting that Bruce holds over at the Educational Service Center so that they can keep me informed of issues that are important to them. I think one of the things that we even discussed yesterday was the fact that there's really a realization that whatever is decided, I mean, there will be a group of people that will not be pleased. It's not going to please everybody, and even the governor's Blue Ribbon Task Force, which was made up of some 35 what I would call very eminently qualified individuals to study this very issue, started off in their opening paragraph saying, here's our thoughts, but we realize it's not going to satisfy everybody. I think, we had a meeting with a group of retirees a few weeks ago down at the City Hall Forum that Mayor Copeland had organized, and obviously, the message was sent. They're not pleased with the property tax, and and what the Supreme Court said was the unconstitutionality is the over-reliance on the use of property taxes. Not that property taxes could not be used, but the over-reliance on property taxes to fund schools. That is what the Supreme Court ruled. But, when you look at, you take Springfield City School District, we have an aging population, a lot more retirees on fixed incomes, where, increases in property taxes are a real struggle for them, and that's not lost upon me. Likewise, we have a declining population in the schools. We're not getting a lot of the younger kids. They're going off to different avenues through open enrollment and the charter schools that are out there now. So we've got a really, here in Springfield, what you might call the perfect storm. And I think that, with the most recent passage of the school levy, I look at that as, at least for me, breathing room as a legislator, because what we need to do is get other legislators feeling feeling the problem. I can't do it by myself. There are 98 other legislators over in Columbus, and we got to have 51 people voting to make anything happen.
Well, from the school standpoint, I think there are a couple of things, and obviously this is not new territory for you, but number one, as you say, there are a substantial percentage of people who reside in the Springfield district, for example, who do not have kids involved in the schools on a daily basis, so therefore they don't have a direct knowledge of the needs of the schools. And you have on top of that the fact that people are saying, hey, if we continue to support property tax issues and pass them at the local level, then the state's never going to fix the problem because they're not going to see the need. It's not going to escalate. It's simply going to, go away, be diminished because the local people are taking care of the responsibility. And then on top of that, you have the dangling carrot out there that the legislator is, because of the Supreme Court's ruling, going to at some point in time do something about school funding. So, it's a situation where people are looking to vote no to begin with because it's more taxes, and most people don't want to pay more taxes, but they can also use the excuse, well, the legislature is eventually going to do something. If we keep bailing the legislator out, the legislature won't do something. So I think you have all of those things that tend to have people say no as opposed to yay. Quite honestly, I'm surprised the tax issue in Springfield passed. I'm glad that it did, but I'm really surprised that it did, and of course with the margin that it passed was really overwhelming. And I think another thing that adds to this is, Governor Taft obviously came through with his program to provide facilities money. And, we have all of these new facilities, and here in Springfield, we were looking at the possibility of closing a brand new elementary school because we didn't have the money to operate it. And the average person out there who's a taxpayer doesn't really know the difference between operational funds and bond issue type money that can only be used for physical facilities. And so the word on the street oftentimes is, hey, they built these schools, now they don't have the money to operate them. So I think all of that stuff plays in, and I guess I would ask you if you agree with that analysis.
Oh, I think, I don't want to second guess decisions that were made. 6 months ago, I was just
right.
Guy on the street like everybody else. So I don't want to try and go back and second guess decisions on how many facilities should have been built in Springfield City Schools. But I do agree with you. It's difficult and it's a perception that's hard to overcome to see all these new great buildings going up and then saying, well, how do we fund these things? I've seen that happen with some local nonprofit organizations I've been involved with.
Right.
So, it's a difficult perception to overcome. But I think that, one thing I'd like to share, and this is a little bit old, but just to put this in perspective, because I think what everybody has to understand is that the state, we are the state.
Right.
You're the state, I'm the state, all the listeners, we are the state. It's not some separate entity that just creates its own revenue. The revenue comes out of us, the taxpayers. And people have mentioned several times, well, instead of property taxes, let's find another way to fund school funding. Mm-hmm. And I just, these are just some things to think about, and I'm not saying they're not worthy of further discussion, but I want to just put it in perspective that to replace, let's see here, I'm using 2002 data here, but Ohio schools received $8.1 billion in property tax revenue in 2002. Mm-hmm. To replace that revenue with the state income tax, each marginal tax bracket would have to be increased by 110%.
Which people are not in favor of.
To replace it with the state sales tax increase, the rate would have to be increased 6.3 cents per dollar, 126% increase over the 5% rate that was in place. So, it's going to come from someplace. That's the bottom line. And right now, education funding as part of the state budget, it's like 48 cents of every dollar goes to education.
Well, the position may very well be that you can't take it all from one source, obviously, because, I don't think that the people are going to be happy with an income tax to the level that you were saying, obviously, and I don't think they're going to be happy with a sales tax to the level that you were saying, but perhaps, an increase of a sales tax to a minimal amount that would add some money and relieve the property might very well be a solution.
And that is something, interestingly, it was mentioned at the retirees meeting, and, the sales tax idea was put to the voters back in '98, and I believe it was issue 2. and it was resoundingly defeated here locally and statewide.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as you say, we are state government, and it's not somebody else's problem, it's our problem, but yet it almost seems like we ought to have a little more concentrated effort to try and bring it to the fold and get something done.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. That is, to me, from my from my background as a manufacturer, and when we are faced with problems out in the shop floor, we want to take those problems on head on and get them solved and off our plate. So we can move on to the next issue.
Well, and that's right, and oftentimes you have to because you can't continue unless you do.
Right.
I guess, fortunately or unfortunately, as the case may be with school funding, schools have continued to operate, even though it, is a tremendous problem. And I guess if it got to the point where it was so tremendous that schools couldn't continue to function, then it would come to a head. But, it's a shame almost that it has to get to that point because, and I've heard a lot of people talking about it, but again, there's been no concentrated effort, it seems like, to bring forward a proposal, and yet I know there have been some proposals that have been suggested, but again, they just haven't been such that people could buy into them and that they be adopted. So our in-studio guest this hour is Ross McGregor, a state representative from the 72nd District. We'll be back with more Speak Out. And again, if you'd like to call, 399-9000, 866-405-1478. Back with more following these important announcements.
Hey, Michelle, I'm afraid I've gotten in a bit over my head.
How's that, Bob?
I'm great with wires around the station, but when it comes to plumbing, carpentry, my home needs a makeover, and you know how I like to have it done right.
324-6300 Reliable.
Yeah, but does Reliable do kitchens as well as bathrooms? What about windows and doors? I was thinking about adding on a room, too.
Call Brian at Reliable. 324-6300.
But what's Reliable's track record? How reliable are they?
Go to their website, www.rhio.com. They've got 15 years of satisfied customers. They do quality work, interior or exterior. They're licensed, bonded, and insured.
How quickly can they start?
Call 324-6300 for an estimate. Trust Reliable for all your home improvements. 324-6300, Reliable Home Improvements of Ohio.
Okay, I'm calling.
Has your carpet seen better days? Have you been wanting a fresher look to your home? There's no better time than now to see James Quality Flooring, just off North Bechtel Avenue in Springfield behind the former Scooters restaurant. Now at James Quality Flooring, you can choose from 5 different colors of laminate, in stock now at $1.29 a foot. You'll find 3/4-inch thick Bruce hardwood in stock at $2.99 a square foot. Choose from over 200 remnants and over 200 rolls of vinyl. James Quality Flooring can make any room look brand new. Carpet installation starts at just $10.95 with pad. James Quality Flooring will come to your home and give you a free estimate. Whether it's new living room carpet to help you stay warm this winter, kitchen carpeting, or carpet for any other room, see James Quality Flooring, now located at 1401 Fotler Street, right behind the old Scooters restaurant off North Bechtel Avenue. You can call James Quality Flooring at 325-5541. That's 325-5541 for your free estimate. James Quality Flooring is looking forward to making your floors look and feel beautiful.
Miami Valley weather.
Your Miami Valley weather for today, mostly cloudy. Showers and thunderstorms are likely this afternoon. It will be not as cool with highs in the lower 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Chance of showers and thunderstorms again. Lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, more of the same. Mostly cloudy. Showers and thunderstorms likely in the morning. Partly cloudy with a continued chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Highs near 70. And tomorrow night, partly cloudy in the evening and mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Lows in the upper 50s. Currently 47 at your home for Rock and Soul Classics, 1600 WULM. All right, we're back with more Speak Out on line 1. Mary, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, so-so.
Hear your dog there in the background. Hear your dog there in the background. Does he have a question for Ross?
No, he thought there's something going on in the other room.
How about you? Do you have a question for Ross?
Yes.
All right.
When voting, like around Wittenberg College, that seems to be the place where things are passed. Like the past levy, it was passed by the precincts around Wittenberg College. What protection do they have that these kids get a ballot from their hometown and vote here?
She wants to know what protection there is against double voting, that is, voting in their hometown, be it Pennsylvania or Cleveland, Ohio, or whatever. What prevents them from being able to vote both places?
Well, good morning, Mary, and thank you very much for calling in today. And I'll have to be quite honest with you. I'm not as familiar on election law to be able to adequately, I feel, address your question this morning. Although I do know that obviously anyone who was to vote in a local election on a local issue would have to be registered here locally. So
kids are they registered to vote around Wittenberg. And like I said, it seems as though this last school levy, that's where they brought it in from around Wittenberg. And I just wondered what protection they have, the people have, that they get an absentee ballot from their hometown and vote here. Vote.
Well, if I may intervene, Mary, I don't think there's a lot of protection other than the fact you're relying on the individual's personal honesty and integrity, obviously. You're supposedly only to vote one particular place, and that's where you're registered, and you're supposed to be only registered one place. And I don't know that there's any statewide system that tracks or performs a checks and balance to see that an individual is only registered in one location. So I suppose it would be possible. But I think if you check it out, the precincts and so forth, the margin of victory that the city schools had with this last levy, even if most of the people in the Wittenberg area did that, and I suspect that most of them did not, but even if most of them did, I think the levy probably still would have passed. But I do think that's a legitimate concern, and maybe we ought to be talking to Linda Rossica and some of the officials like Ken Blackwell at the state level to see if there is some way that there could be some kind of a computerized check to make sure that people are not voting twice in the same state.
Yeah. Why, can you get them on, you think?
Well, we can try.
Well, that's good, because that's...
I can tell you one thing, though, that nobody who lives in Cleveland, Ohio, was able to vote for the Springfield City School levy in Cleveland, Ohio. But you're right, they possibly could have voted in Cleveland, Ohio for something else because they were registered there and voted on the levy here.
Yeah.
But do you think the average college kid at Wittenberg is really that concerned about Springfield City Schools?
Do I think what?
That the average student at Wittenberg is really that concerned about Springfield City Schools that they would go register and vote and support the levy?
Well, don't forget how many people from Wittenberg are in the political field here in Springfield.
Well, that's probably true in the schools as well, I guess. So.
Yeah.
All right, what's your thought on the double dipping? We had a caller earlier that called in before Ross got here and asked about his position on double dipping, that is politicians and school administrators and what have you who are in a position and then retire, and then they're hired back and they're able to receive their retirement as well as their pay. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it should go out the window, because I think once that the person has worked and left that job and get a retirement from there, that they should give somebody else a chance to pick up the other jobs.
So you don't particularly like it either, then?
What?
You don't particularly like the practice either, then?
No.
All right, what else is on your mind? What about the role of senior health? What do you think Ross McGregor ought to be working for in Columbus as far as helping seniors with health issues?
About the insurance companies.
The insurance companies, and what specifically about them?
Well, about just like now, you don't know which way to go, whether you go with Social Security or go with another insurance company. They're all offering this prescription plan. Mm-hmm. And like my retirement, SERS, if you quit there and go to one of these plans, you cannot go back in.
Yep.
If something happens, so.
Well, I certainly would encourage people there to get with Elderly United. Has somebody on board that will help out with that to explain everything to you and help you make the right decision. Some people are under the impression, and we've obviously visited with it on this show several times, but some people are under the impression that you have to go with one of the national plans, and that simply is not true. If your plan is better, then it behooves you to stay with that as opposed to going with the national plan. So, at any rate, any other questions for Ross McGregor? He's been in office 5 months now.
I think he's doing a good job so far. Just keep up the good work.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your kind words.
And to stick around because we need good, honest people in the political field.
Mary, are you going to run against him or not?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
If I ever ran, it would have been for the school board, and 50% of the people would have quit there. If I did run, the other 50 I would have fired.
Oh, man. Real house cleaning, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Mary, thanks for your call.
Yeah, bye
See
now.
ya.
Goodbye.
All right, that's Mary, and she's got a few words of wisdom there this morning. Let's talk about health care for seniors, Ross. Anything at the state level that is in the works for senior health care?
There once again, it's not anything that I see any active legislation on right now. Although I do want to just step back for a moment and reaffirm, concur with your advice there to Mary. For all the seniors that are faced with what is arguably very confusing and difficult things to understand, please don't hesitate to visit with Donna Frederick and her group down at Elderly United. They do a great job and are a very well-respected organization in the entire state. And I know that they have resources to help people make the determination as to exactly what is the best route for them. So I think we're very fortunate as a community to have Elderly United here working for our senior citizens.
Well, we had a lady on from Elderly United who works in that very area, and, it really wasn't as confusing as I thought it was going to be because she was able to explain it. She understands it, and I understand it fairly well now as well. And like I said, it's not something that has to be done. In many cases, it's better for them not to switch, and yet I think anytime there's change, there is some confusion, obviously, and particularly if you're a little older and perhaps have a tendency to be nervous and confused, and I'm rapidly approaching that age, so I can certainly relate to it. Let's talk about something that is in the news at the state level, and that's minimum wage. Governor Taft has said that he's interested in signing a bill into law that would make minimum wage, $5.15 an hour?
It would bring Ohio's minimum wage up to the federal level of $5.15 an hour. Yes.
Is Ross McGregor's thoughts about that, and what kind of scuttlebutt has there been in Columbus?
Well, I think it's entirely appropriate, and it just makes common sense that Ohio's minimum wage not be any less than what the federal minimum wage is. And so when we voted on that the other day as part of Senate Bill 7, the Bureau of Workers' Compensation reform package, it made good sense to me that we bring it up. Now, there'll be some people that say, well, $5.15 isn't enough, and I'm certainly willing to talk to folks about that, but at the very least, let's bring it up. I mean, I think it was Ohio and Kansas were the only two states that had minimum wage less than the federal level. So,
and there'll be a few too that will argue that it will hurt because it will cause some of the smaller places to increase their payroll to the extent that it puts some of them out of business or reduces their ability to do business.
I would. No one has called me yet to share that sentiment with me, and from what I've been able to learn about the minimum wage, for example, in manufacturing, it's not an issue for us because we pay much greater than the minimum wage. We have to if we're going to have quality people work for us.
Right.
But often the minimum wage is used in employment areas that, say, the restaurant industry, where person's compensation is augmented through tips or part-time work for some high school people make up a large portion of the people that make the minimum wage. But like I say, no one's called me to share with me how this is going to affect their business, and I would be more than happy to sit down and learn more. But I think, like I said, at the very least, Ohio needs to have a minimum wage that's not less than the federal minimum wage.
And we probably ought to squelch the rumor that the legislators did this to give themselves a raise.
Oh, that's absolutely, yes.
Legislators make a little more than minimum wage. Not a lot, but a little bit. Let's talk about a couple of other things, and this is kind of a hornet's nest, but the governor's office, obviously not without problems because of some of the issues concerning the activities of Governor Taft and what have you. Because of term limits, he can no longer run. There are people who want the job, namely Ken Blackwell and Jim Petro. There's some allegations today that came out again about Blackwell. So there seems to be kind of a war going on there. So if we look at government in Columbus, Ohio, state government today, it appears as though it's a bit of a circus in a way, in anticipation of the aftermath of some of the problems with the Taft administration. He's a lame duck in many people's case at this point. And yet you have two guys that are kind of fighting for the job. So does that atmosphere hinder the ability of government to function in the state, you think, or not?
Well, I can only speak for myself, and I'm really, at this point focusing on doing the best job I can for the citizens of Springfield and New Carlisle and Enon and, out in the townships. And I need to become as knowledgeable as so that's where I try and focus my attention. And I wouldn't, of course, I follow the hijinks of the gubernatorial race and some of the other races. We have a daily clip service that gives us all the articles that are written, and it's something that I read when I have the time. But like I said, I'm trying to focus mainly on becoming knowledgeable about the issues that are important to.
So you're pretty much saying that you don't think that all of this hype and distraction and what have you is such that it has impaired your ability to function in the legislature?
Like I said, speaking for myself, no. There are other things I'm trying to learn that I feel are more important. But
at this point in time, based upon what you know, with 5 months under your belt in Columbus, what would be your preference in terms of the next governor of the state? Are we favoring Petro or Blackwell, or have we made a decision yet? And if so, why?
Well, I'm not really ready just to come right out and say one thing or another. Certainly I've had the opportunity to meet with Attorney General Petro on a number of occasions. He's been very kind to me in my previous attempt at running for public office when I ran for county commissioner, and was very congratulatory and kind to me when I received the appointment, as was Betty Montgomery, who was at that time also seeking the governor's office. Both of them reached out to me to share their congratulations and also a little friendly advising, as they both were in the legislature at one time. Secretary Blackwell, certainly is, to say the least, dynamic individual. He certainly gets his name out there, but he and I have never had the opportunity to converse, so I can't really say I know a whole lot about him other than what's printed in the papers.
What, as far as Russ Greger is concerned, and perhaps some of your fellow legislators there in Columbus, what kind of a fallout do you think there may be in terms of wholesale votes against Republicans and therefore the election of Democrats as a result of the Taft problems?
I think it is a issue that many people are facing, and not one that should be ignored. But once again, what I'm focusing on, Larry, is the 72nd District, and trying to promote myself as being the best person to represent Springfield and Clark County. And, I can't, there's a lot of things that have gone on that I have no control over. I mean, all the issues with the workers' compensation CoinGate scandal, and some of these indictments that have been brought upon the governor and his staff, that happened long before I came on the scene. And so I can't worry about the past, although, some voters may respond to that. I'm hoping they'll respond to me as the best individual to represent them over in Columbus.
So what kind of efforts have you had to directly affect your ability to communicate with your constituency? Do you have regular office hours here locally where people can come and talk to you? And if so, you want to talk about that a little bit?
I do, Larry, and I also view this opportunity as a chance to get out and reach the constituency. But I also do have monthly office hours that I started in January. Excuse me. And I, on the first Friday of every month, I spend an hour from 9 to 10 at the Clark County Public Library downtown. And then I'll travel out to Enon, and I'll be in Enon from 10:30 until 11:30 at the Enon Government Center. And then I have to make the decision as to whether I'm going to have lunch at the Tavernette in Medway or at the Melody on my way to New Carlisle.
That's a tough decision. 'Cause they're both good places.
They are both fine places. And then after lunch, I go up to the New Carlisle Library from 1 to 2. And basically, I just I make myself available, and for people to come in and share their thoughts, opinions. If they've got a problem that they'd like me to help them with, we can talk about that.
That's not your most difficult decision as the legislator, right? Whether you're eating at the Tavernette or the Melody.
I'm lucky that I have that decision to make.
Yes, I'm getting hungry as I think about it. The coleslaw there at the Melody is second to none, and Tavernette has some great food as well. If we talk about, first of all, let's talk about your territory, because I know people are a little confused about that.
Sure.
They thought they had it figured out, that it changed. So what territory actually are you responsible for representing?
Well, I think in general terms, the city of Springfield, Springfield Township, Bethel, Mad River Township, it would be including New Carlisle, Park Lane, Medway, Enon. So I roughly, if you say went down Route 68 and went everything west and say 40 and everything south, and then the city of Springfield on that corner there, that would be the general geographic area that comprises the 72nd District.
Now, the Springfield Airport, is that in your territory or not?
It is not. That would be in Representative Widener's district.
I see. He's going to be with us here in a week or a couple of weeks, I guess it is. The airport obviously has been in the news, the Air National Guard, this, that, and the other, and so forth. I know Dave Hobson's very involved in that. Talk, if you would, about the relationship that you have as a state representative with local government officials and federal government officials, and how you basically work together to try to solve some of the problems here in the region.
Oh, Larry, I think it's absolutely critical that all levels of government work together. I'm on very good terms with, I would consider both the city of Springfield council and then county commissioners. Work well with my fellow legislators, Chris Widener and Senator Steve Austria, and of course have long respected and appreciated the help of Congressman Hobson. So, I think it's important that we all work together in order to maximize our efficiency as public officials.
So do you have regular contacts with the local folks and with, for example, Dave Hobson and so forth?
Well, I wouldn't say there's anything that's set up on a regular basis, but it just works out that I see, certainly I see Chris Widener and Steve Austria often over in Columbus or at various events here in the district. I see John Dietrich regularly, or Mayor Copeland, Commissioner Tackett.
But essentially, those people don't hesitate to call you, and you don't hesitate to call them if there's the need to do so.
No hesitation whatsoever.
Okay, and briefly, let's talk about the committees. Are you on any particular committees?
Yes, I serve on the Health Committee, and then I'm also on the Finance and Appropriations Committee, and I'm on the Higher Education Subcommittee of the Finance and Appropriations.
Now, when Merle was there, she was obviously on various committees and what have you, and she had been around for a while. You didn't automatically assume her positions, did you?
It somewhat turned out that way, yes. Although she was also on the Rules and Reference Committee, I was not assigned to that committee, but I did receive her committee assignments for Finance and Appropriations and Health.
Okay, what about sponsorships? Have you sponsored or co-sponsored any bills at this point?
Well, I sponsored, soon after taking office, I sponsored House Bill 381, which was dealing with the predatory lending issue, and it was really just a bill on some appropriations to release some more funds to hire more investigators who can go out and more cops on the street type of thing to look into predatory lending cases. At the same time, the governor, who also recognizes predatory lending as an important issue facing Ohio, had a similar idea, and he basically did the same thing through the controlling board, where my bill would have guaranteed increased appropriations ongoing. His actions through the controlling board were much quicker and immediate, but it was a one-time shot of about $1.5 million to hire these additional investigators.
And predatory lending has been an issue that you've sort of had a passion for.
Absolutely, it's something that I think
definite problem locally.
It's a problem in Clark County. It's a problem in the state of Ohio.
All right, we're going to go to the phones. Are you there?
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
You have a question for Ross McGregor?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I'd like to ask the representative if he voted there down. I know he now lives in the old Delscamp building. I was wondering where he voted.
I am currently voting over at St. John's Church.
Well, I was just wondering there now. Now that you're in there, did you notice any difference in the this voting on this levy than the one that we had last November?
What ways do you mean there?
Well, I noticed that we were using a new voting machine.
New voting machine. And did you see anything else that came to your mind?
No, sir. I can't say that I did.
Well, all you saw was a yes or no. Is that correct?
To vote for the levy, that is correct.
And you saw the number come up that told you what number that little ballot you had. That verified it, right?
I believe you're correct in my recollection, yes.
But where was a booklet explaining and telling how much the levy was for? This is supposed to be a special election. Yet on the, they covered themselves pretty well. They never said special election as far as that goes. They did cover themselves with the codes as far as that goes. 3501-11G, 5705-19, and 5705-25. These are all election law. And it was a special election, and it wasn't listed as such in the advertisements they put in the newspaper. I mean, they did advertise it 3 times, including January 23rd and 25th there. And they got the in February 6th, the day before election, they put it in there. But it never said anything about special election, and you never saw a booklet. It was in the newspaper about the $6,462,895 that they expected to get with the 9 mil. You didn't see anything about the 9 mils. And, when they did this on the 15th of November last year, when the school board voted on this, comes to my mind the fact that they did not finish the reappraisal of all the property here in Clark County at that time. I wish you'd check in there and find out about that.
So what point are you making, John?
I'm making the point that it's the election was not the same as we've had in the past. We always knew when a person was looking down and saying going to say yes or no, you punched a hole. But you saw exactly what the amount of money is. You ask people how many. I asked a number of people. I would say at least 30 different people. I even called the Board of Election, and only one person at Board of Election actually knew how many mills it was. It was 9 mills.
Larry, I think you need to have the Board of Election on your show. There are a lot of questions today regarding...
Well, I mean, you're a state representative, and the state representatives are the ones that are involved in the legislature. Now, Blackwell put these machines in there. If we'd been voting in California, for instance, if the same election had been held in California, you would have gotten a receipt when you put your ballot in their machines out in California, it gives you a receipt that tells you exactly how you voted.
Now, there is some, I will say there is some legislation that's been proposed for this new electronic voting machine to do some sort of calibration on them on a regular basis to make sure that they are functioning properly.
Well,
although I'm not...
Calibration, you find me one person in Clark County can tell you who the guy that comes in here and certifies these machines. They don't even know who he is, or they don't know more about him than they did about Dubai.
Okay.
See? Now, this is the thing. If it's good enough, incidentally, the gentleman that they're buying all these machines from, was the biggest, I am Republican before you were born. But the thing is that the President of the United States and Taft, they got a lot of money from him, and it ended up there. As a matter of fact, the president of this company was the biggest individual contributor to the president's campaign. But we got machines that don't give us a receipt. We don't even know how we voted. All we do is get a piece of paper. It says yes or no, and then you put it in the machine. We have no verification or certification of how we voted. And I think we should be adopting, and I suggest that you make that suggestion and sponsor a bill that we adopt the same thing as they have. If it's good enough for California, the largest state in the United States, that they give a receipt to the people telling them a copy, in a sense, it's a copy verifying exactly how they did vote, I think it should be here in Clark County, too.
Well, I appreciate your sharing those thoughts, and I'll certainly look into what's going on in the legislature concerning election law.
John, let me ask you something. The old system, you didn't get a receipt either, so...
No, you didn't get a receipt, but you saw who you were voting, and when you put the punch in there, you knew that you put a punch in there. Once you put a pencil mark, it just so happened I marked mine. First I made yes, and then I copied it out. I took it out with a eraser and put the no, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you could find my ballot only because of that, but nobody else's can you really verify. It's actually the same thing because I know exactly how I did it.
So I guess the question is, when you do that and you decide to change your vote, aren't you supposed to get a new ballot?
No.
You're not?
I didn't get a new ballot.
I know, but aren't you supposed to?
That's not. I just did what the gentleman told me. The man took me over to the machine and told me to put it in there. The first time I put it in, I'd already erased and rechanged my ballot, and I let all those people there know what I did. Then he took me, escorted me over. They're nice people. I've known them for years, most of them. Yeah. Anyway, I went over there. I put it in there, and it sent it back. I sent it in a second time, and then it put up. I believe it was 111, 112 is what it was. That's the only thing verification I even knew that I voted. It counted it. But where's the verification of how I voted? That's the thing. If you get a slip like they have in California, if it's good enough for the largest state in the United States, that they use a machine that gives a slip out that tells you a copy of what you actually voted, I think it's good enough for Ohio. What's been going on here, do I have to mention the fact of the scandal of missing money in Columbus? Lack of accountability, lack of records.
All right, so you want Ross to consider sponsoring some kind of legislation to give voters a receipt to actually spit out
There's only one way that people can feel it. Either go back to the paper ballot, period, or if you're going to use these, talk to any computer. I've talked to experts at computers on this stuff. The simplest thing, it'd take a computer engineer about 1/10 of 1 second, and he could have it. All the votes went to one person.
Well, and I'd suggest, too, maybe you ought to call Ken Blackwell and tell him your thoughts.
I'm not going to. Ken Blackwell's well aware of this. He knows.
Have you talked to him?
This machine is that we cannot verify. We cannot verify. We need to have verification in every precinct in the state of Ohio There's over 3,000 counties in the United States.
John, I think
Every
you ought to
county
call him and
does.
tell him he might be able to get an advertisement on the back of him like they do at Kroger's and places, you know.
Well, I don't want that either. I don't want it where the influence. There's the influence petting. We got too much influence petting right down there now.
All right, so Ross understands your position. He'll consider it, and stay tuned and see what happens.
I don't want monkeying. Don't give me any jibes. They say what I want them is to sponsor that we get a receipt. The same way, if it's good enough for California, it's good enough for Ohio.
All right,
John, I'd encourage you next week if you would do me the favor of calling into my office, and if you would leave me with your contact information so I can stay in touch with you on this issue. I can tell it's something you're passionate about, and I don't want to,
Well,
just...
you know how you voted in the past. You always had a little booklet. If there was no levies on there, you still had the name. You saw the name, and you know who you were voting for, and you punched a hole.
Well, if you
just this is where we just put in a piece of paper and use a pencil.
If you call my office, I'll keep you informed of how
I want you to
find.
remember, I put in yes first, and then I repped it out, and then I put in no, and it took the no. But anybody could have changed my vote another way, right?
Okay, John, thanks for your call.
Thank you.
See you. All right, we're a little behind here. Got to do some commercials. We'll be back to wrap it up with State Representative Ross McGregor following these words.
Bradfield's Restaurant in the Upper Valley Mall has the perfect alternative to fixing dinner after a hard day of work, taking care of the family, or shopping. Bradfield's Restaurant invites you to join them for lunch or dinner soon. Count on Bradfield's for quick, casual dining and the friendly atmosphere you've come to expect. You'll find juicy hand-cut steaks and your favorite lunch specials, baked fish almondine or honey glazed chicken, just $5.99. Fridays and Saturdays, it's delicious prime rib served after 4 p.m. Owner Tim Ratliff and his friendly staff will be there to give you the quality service you've come to expect. Whether you're starting or finishing a day of shopping at the Upper Valley Mall, having a business lunch, dinner before a movie, or a meal after church, look no further than Bradfield's Restaurant. Looking for a great gift for a special occasion? Treat those special friends, family members, co-workers, employees, even the boss to a great meal at Bradfield's Restaurant. Bradfield's Restaurant is located inside the Upper Valley Mall between CVS and J.C. Penney. There's a well-lit parking lot. Bradfield's open Monday through Saturday 11 to 9, Sundays 11 to 7.
Has your carpet seen better days? Have you been wanting a fresher look to your home? There's no better time than now to see James Quality Flooring, just off North Bechtel Avenue in Springfield behind the former Scooters restaurant. Now at James Quality Flooring, you can choose from 5 different colors of laminate, in stock now at $1.29 a foot. You'll find 3/4-inch thick Bruce hardwood in stock at $2.99 a square foot. Choose from over 200 remnants and over 200 rolls of vinyl. James Quality Flooring can make any room look brand new. Carpet installation starts at just $10.95 with pad. James Quality Flooring will come to your home and give you a free estimate. Whether it's new living room carpet to help you stay warm this winter, kitchen carpeting, or carpet for any other room, see James Quality Flooring, now located at 1401 Fottler Street, right behind the old Scooters restaurant off North Bechtel Avenue. You can call James Quality Flooring at 325-5541. That's 325-5541 for your free estimate. James Quality Flooring is looking forward to making your floors look and feel beautiful.
When was the last time you had this much fun? Now's your chance. Come see the Care Bears live, caring and sharing friends. You remember the Care Bears as a child? Now share their star-speckled, rainbow-trimmed Cloudland world with your children. It's the newest, happiest, most fun family show of the year. The Care Bears Live, caring and sharing friends. You'll experience the Care Bear story in a whole new way. Come see Care Bears Live, caring and sharing friends.
Care Bears Live, caring and sharing friends. Playing at Hara Arena, March 24th through the 26th. Tickets on sale now at the box office and through all Ticketmaster outlets.
Care Bears Live is a V Corporation production.
All right, we're back with concluding remarks. State Representative Ross McGregor of the 72nd District. Ross, time flies. We're having fun, and we'll give you an opportunity to tell folks how they can get a hold of you and about some of the things you're working on currently.
Thank you very much, Larry. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in here with you this morning and talk to the folks. Just wanted to let everybody know that, please do contact me if there's anything that I can do to help you individually with any interface with state government, or if you have thoughts and feelings on upcoming legislation or what's going on in the state. I can be reached over in Columbus. My number there is 614-466-2038, or toll free at 800-282-0253. I can also be reached via email at district72@ohr.state.oh.us. And I'm very sincere when I say I really do want to hear from the folks here in the district. That's the only way I can do my job representing, is if I know what your thoughts and feelings are. Just to quickly say, I have introduced another bill, House Bill 525, which is the Medical Communicators Board. This is in response to, unfortunately, a constituent here in Springfield whose mother, it's one of those medical alert devices, hit the button and did not receive the service and actually passed away because of that. And so in response to that, I've introduced a bill just the last week that would create a licensing mechanism for these people who are on the other end of the phone when you hit the button, to make sure that they are have some minimal qualifications to understand and be able to put out the right level of service. I'm also working with Senator Austria on some companion legislation on Jessica's bill dealing with sexual predators, and trying to strengthen the laws in the state of Ohio dealing with that unfortunate behavior and the people that perpetuate that criminal activity. So we're working on those types of issues. We're getting ready to go in next week and work on the capital reappropriations bill and the budget corrections. So we're staying very busy over there, and we'll probably be working through May until we break for the summer. And
okay, Ross, thanks for being with us this morning. We hope that you'll come back sometime and share some other information with us. And next week on Speak Out, the Ericksons, Lynn, Wes, Scott, Taus will be the first hour, and then Dr. Mark Erickson, president of Whitburg University, the second hour. Thank you for listening to Speak Out. See you next week.
This is your home for rock and soul classics. 1600 WULM Springfield and All America City.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Internet Business Hour with your hosts, Kerry Brewer and George Dubeck. Brought to you by WebStream Internet Solutions, located at 2200 West Commercial Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. Stay tuned for cutting-edge information on everything related to the Internet, including web design, web hosting, and getting more traffic to your website. If you have any questions about today's program, send an email to info@webstream.net. That's info@webstream.net.